hello and a warm welcome to everybody, and thank you for joining today's session. For all who don't know me, I'm Ingo Sörensen, and I'm in charge of sales for Oracle's global cruise business. So before we start, I'd just like to inform you that this webcast will be recorded and uploaded by Oracle Marketing to allow other customers to watch it at a later time. So I hope everybody enjoyed the start of summer a bit so far, and we are all happy to see our industry to come back to life slowly. I know it's a very busy and challenging time for all of us, so I'm very thankful that you all will spend this 1 hour with us today. I think we have a great thing to introduce today. So from the invite, we put together a special Symphony point of sale promotion, which is exclusively available for our existing cruise customers running the Micros 3700 and the Micros 9700 on-prem systems. And this session today will explain the point of sale promotion and its benefits. So we will talk about the Symphony solution, we will talk about the hardware, we will also explain how the implementation would look, and also we will point out some options in regards to payment plans and financing. So let me start with introducing our panelists. We have Michael Kempney today with us, who is our solution engineer for Symphony. So there's hardly any question he cannot answer. He's with Oracle and Micros before since many years and even worked on board a ship in his previous life. So Michael will cover the technical part today. We also have Garth Gray with us, who is our VP Consulting in the Food and Beverage Global Business Unit from Oracle, and he will talk about our implementation services. So thanks for joining, Garth. As you might know, Symphony comes with a headquarter functionality, which is enabled by a third-party solution called JumpMind Symmetric DS, which we will present during the session also. So we will have Brad Wilmer joining from JumpMind. Last but not least, we have Kevin Arsen with us today from Oracle Finance. Kevin will talk about financing options which are available as part of this promotion. So thanks everybody for joining. It's going to be a packed hour, so let's get started. Just as a side note, we will have a Q&A session at the end, but you can already start putting your questions into the Q&A section here in the Zoom session, and we will then address them later. So, as you know, we have a long history with Oracle Micros point of sale software and hardware. Micros has been doing POS since 40 years, serving hospitality, F&B, and of course the cruise customers across the globe. So I want to talk with Michael a bit. Can you tell us a little bit about our F&B solutions for the cruise industry, please?
Yes, indeed, Ingo. Thanks, Ingo. Thanks for the intro. So, yeah, let me tell you a bit more about the current situation our customers are facing. So the 9700 system from Micros was actually released in 2001. And the last version released in 2014. And it's still running on a lot of vessels worldwide. So that means, many of our cruise lines are already using Oracle Micros point of sale, and in conjunction with our SPMS systems. That means some of the systems have been deployed on board for about 15 to 20 years. And well, if I had not been exposed to Micros while I was working on the cruise ship as F&B manager, that's about 15 years ago, I would probably not be here today. And looking back, I know that the stability and the SPMS integration are key for our point of sale solutions like the RES and 9700 systems. Of course, today we do offer Micros Symphony, and it's built on the latest technologies, and it supports also our point of sales hardware portfolio we offer today. And that means for every F&B use case on board, we have powerful hardware, like our workstation 625 or the compact workstation, which is a little bit smaller in size. It also comes as a workstation 310R, and R stands for rugged. So especially for the outdoor, for the pool areas, it's a very good option. And it also has an add-on battery you can enter into the base, so it can even run off power and on Wi-Fi, which are some nice features. And last but not least, we do have a mobile solution, which is our 7-inch tablet. And well, Ingo, I'm often getting asked, what is most important about our hardware, Michael? And the answer would be, with Oracle, hardware and software are designed as one solution. At Oracle, we call this engineered system to ensure the best performance and to offer it at very competitive pricing. So looking at the software, well, again, when I was managing micros on board a long time ago, entering those 300 new items, let's say before the new Alaska season started, into the system and get everything up and running was actually very time consuming, but it had to be done. With Symphony, this would have been a lot easier, because today with Symphony on board, you can actually enter menu item and pricing well in advance. So that means you enter all the information today, and it will just show up on the screen when the workstation is programmed to do so. We call this the effectivity function, and that's actually a huge time saver for operations. This means each workstation has a local database, and regardless of the connectivity, whether to the local server on board or even to the HQ, menu items and pricing will just show up on day X when programmed. So that's quite a new feature with Symphony.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good. Thanks for sharing your experience, Mike. It's always good to have someone who actually understands the F&B operations on board ships, the POS technology, and has continued to be hands-on with the evolution of Symphony across the years. So I know F&B operation has changed a bit over the years, and mobility has become a key element now more than ever in post-COVID return to service strategies. So with touchless being the new norm. Can you show us what we can offer today with Symphony to meet the expectations of customers and their guests?
Yes, of course. Good point, Ingo. So the solution would be that the service staff are using their personal Micros tablet, so taking orders directly at the table or at the deck chair and send them to the bar immediately. So that's one concept. That means the mobile rugged 7-inch tablet is very popular nowadays with our customers, and it comes with a hot swappable battery, like seen on the picture here. That means operations on board, they can just use it 24/7, and by using order takers and runners, so the operation can increase the speed of service by about 50%. And of course, this results in better service and ultimately in higher bar revenues for those paid items on board. And over the past years, Ingo, Symphony has become our point of sale platform for the industry, replacing those legacy systems like RES 3700 and 9700. Can you tell us, Ingo, why this is quite important from a security point of view?
Well, yeah, sure. We all know that the premier support for 9700 has already expired. So that's a very important point for our customers. And we, of course, we had the experience last year that security plays quite an important role nowadays, even on ships. And modern operating systems are needed. So we know that data is a currency nowadays, and hackers are always keen to find operating systems which are not up to date, so they could potentially use known vulnerables to steal data. So that's a risk for any business. So what can our customers do? What do you suggest?
Well, it's quite obvious. So you mentioned already Micros 9700 is not supported anymore. So and with Oracle, we are focusing on security. So we do always recommend to update systems, use our latest version, Symphony in this case, and perform regular operating system updates. And so deploying Symphony is imperative to do so. And with our system, the point of sale clients, our workstations actually, they come with the latest Windows 10 IoT embedded. So it's an enterprise edition, which is supported by Microsoft at least until 2029.
Okay, so it's obvious that Symphony would be the most secure next step to replace legacy 37 and 9700. What is the main difference? Can you compare a little bit the old systems with Symphony?
Yes, sure. Good question, Ingo. So the main difference with Symphony, first of all, it's the resilient architecture. So that means the point of sale operation is not dependent on a POS server machine, as the solution is built on a service-based infrastructure. That doesn't mean that there's no more server on board, but it's much more stable. And in short, this means all the important services to run a point of sale, they do not have this single point of failure anymore. And another big difference is that Symphony is designed with an enterprise configuration layer, which is a multi-property solution by design. So this means by using the enterprise layer with Symphony, the solution can be installed at the cruise line's headquarters. And with the help of our partner JumpMind and their dynamic DS solution, which is actually a database replication software, together we can offer enterprise point of sale to our cruise operators who are looking to standardize the menus and automate their point of sale data management.
Okay, thanks, Michael. So we all know it's just a very high level overview we have here for in regards to Symphony functionality, and then there's much more. So I think that's all we can cover for today's session. But of course, we will do individual presentations and product demos then if we see that there's an interest. Okay. So let's, we already mentioned JumpMind. Let's move over to Brad from our partner JumpMind. And Brad, please can you give us a quick overview on how JumpMind integrates with Symphony and what it actually does?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Thank you so much for the introduction. I appreciate it. Thanks for your time today. So basically, the Symmetric DS product was actually created 13 years ago for a very large retailer using ORPAWS to move that data from HQ to all of the stores in a bidirectional fashion. And 5 years ago, we started working with Symphony and the cruise line to really do the same thing, because it's the same thought process, right? The kind of the consolidation and deconsolidation of data from one central point to many endpoints. So the way that it works is that it's a trigger-based solution that actually sits on the database itself. On inserts, updates, and deletes, those changes are captured and moved from HQ down to the ships, or the ships up to HQ. And as Michael said, things are done on the database level and they just kind of show up on the screen. Well, Symmetric is the back end that does that. And I know that one thing that's important in the cruise industry, obviously, is there's a lot of times when the connection is not there. But because Symmetric DS is actually part of the database itself, it doesn't mind if the connection is there or not. It will continue to gather those changes and continue to look for the connection to be reestablished. As soon as it is, Symmetric DS realizes that and moves that data from point A to point B. So, it's a very kind of robust and proven solution used all over the world for this exact specific use case.
Okay. Yeah, sounds like it's well integrated. So question, how does the Symphony users, ship and shore side, or the IT departments and the F&B managers, how do they know that the data has been sent and it's replicated?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, and as you can see on the screen here, there is what we call a router master node, and that sits at HQ. And through that router master node, there's this dashboard screen. And on that dashboard screen, you can see every ship that's synchronizing data to HQ and HQ down to the ships. You can see if those databases are online or offline. You can see if how much data is being moved, when the data is being moved, and how quickly the data is being moved. And probably even more importantly, there's also a bunch of notifications built into the software as well. Whereas if a ship's offline, if a batch that's supposed to be moved, a batch of data that's supposed to be moved has not been sent, it sends emails and things of that nature. So there's a whole suite of notifications to the IT department to make sure that the product is up and running and functioning well. If it's not, it will send out alerts to say, hey, you need to kind of go in and look at this and fix the issue.
Okay, sounds seamless. So, so they always can determine if data has been loaded from headquarters, from the headquarters Symphony instance, basically, and so that's quite an important point for the operations on board, right?
Yeah, that's correct, Ingo. There's, like I said, it's kind of been a work in process for the last 5 years, and it's really a solid solution to move that data in an atmosphere where the connections aren't solid, and a robust monitoring feature to make sure everything's running properly for you.
Okay. Yeah, sounds great. And it sounds like a good improvement compared to the on-premise 9700 and 37 instances we have nowadays, where there's no headquarter functionality at all. I mean, for 3700 we have the enterprise manager, but for 97 we have nothing.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, great. I think that was a good quick overview. And as I said before, once we have product demos, we of course will integrate the Brad from JumpMind again to also showcase the integration to Symphony. Yeah. Okay, moving on. We have Garth joining. Thanks, Garth, for coming. So Garth is overseeing our consulting and our implementation teams. He's the VP for our food and beverage global business unit at Oracle for the consulting team. So can you talk a little bit about our implementation services, Garth?
Sure, thanks, Ingo. Within the Oracle F&B Consulting Group, we really leverage a proven approach to deployment, kind of focus on facilitating a smooth transition for our enterprise customers. And to that end, we've implemented a suite of services that really target the key implementation phases within an enterprise deployment. So you can see from a design perspective, we have a suite of services that cover configuration design, deployment, and planning, not only focus on developing a solid backend for your POS platform, but also helping you to plan for the future to ensure that that solution can scale effectively as the needs of your operation change. Secondly, in the install phase, we provide both program and project management services to assist with structuring and governing your implementation, depending on the size of your deployment, as well as installation deployment services focused on hardware placement, final configuration, testing, and validation. All of which are focused on developing a repeatable quality installation at each revenue center in your operation. And finally, from an ongoing operations perspective, we have what we call our enterprise configuration managed services. And this is really a targeted service offering really focused on ongoing operations management in your deployment. So any configuration within our platform can be managed via this service, and it comes in both a standard offering, which really covers our full suite of configurations, or it can be customized to the specifics of your organization. Next, I'd like to get into a little more detail around the specific phases of our implementation and provide a little more insight about what you can expect at each of these key phases. So when you look at our enterprise configuration, architecture, and design, in the design phase of the implementation, you can expect to interface with one of our senior product industry experts, right? Of a large team of resources who've been on board for well over 15 years, all of which are very familiar with our platform. They'll sit with you to review your business operational requirements, help to come up with a standard configuration design. And really the key there is that becomes the basis for a template that'll be reused across your enterprise. And that really supports one of the key foundations of our implementation approach, which is the build once, deploy many, right? Where we're looking to drive down that on-premise configuration effort, really drive down the overall complexity, help infuse the standards that are in your operation, and ensure there's some consistency in your deployment. It makes training a lot easier because we're training off a simple template or a set of templates that have been pre-aligned with your organization. And finally, from a support and maintainability perspective, you have a best known configuration that you can evaluate all changes against, all of which are focused on facilitating a smooth deployment as well as easing operational management of your solution. Right. Next, when you look at our enterprise deployment planning service, again in the design phase, the similar type of engagement. Again, you're sitting down with an industry expert who's really going to work with you to do a readiness assessment and understand the specific needs of your property configuration, right? The output of those would go into our deployment readiness plan, which is transitioned to the installation team to allow them to effectively prepare for your installation and ensure there are no issues when we arrive at each revenue center, and that we've correctly anticipated any possible changes or configuration needs at each site. And then finally, when you look at the actual property deployment, we have a suite of services embedded within this offering, really focused on ensuring that, again, the installation is repeatable, quality, and can support your organization on an ongoing basis. So everything from your site level survey, the actual installation of the hardware, end user training, which can be both train the trainer or training your operational staff, supporting the validation of your solution, pre-live as well as post-live support, and finally, validation of your operational stability and transition support. All these services, again, are focused on ensuring that the configuration that was designed up front is what's been implemented. There's some consistency across your organization, that your operational staff are ready to take on board the solution and transition to a smooth operational phase.
Great. Sounds great. And I don't have to mention we have people who are focused on cruise ships, so they have done many implementations on the cruise ships, and of course we have a big team of people and consultants who are traveling or about to travel soon again, hopefully, and they know the cruise industry quite well and what F&B needs. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thanks, Garth. Good overview. So moving on, of course, we all know that cruise industry has different priorities currently with the return to service. And of course, we also know that any spend is currently carefully being considered after more than a year without real business. So we want to partner with our customers and put together some attractive discounts. That's why we came up with this promotion. So unfortunately, based on some internal rules, I cannot really say, the discount percentages, but we apply discounts to hardware we are offering as part of this promotion. So any kind of point of sale hardware discount will come for the license, for the one-time purchase license, and of course for consulting services. And the discounts are between 25 and 60%. Yeah. So based on the size of the project, we will, apply those discounts. And we're happy to issue individual offers. If you show interest, please reach out and we'll review your fleet or your individual vessels, and then we'll come up with a good idea and give you a good quote. So this promotion will start on July 1st, which is basically next week, and it will run until end of December 22. So that gives you 18 months to switch over to Symphony. Basically, I think it's quite a good offer. As I said, we bundle this offer, so hardware, license, and consulting services are in one package. Just the discounts we apply is different for each of those three products. That's why I said between 25 and 60. Yeah. We know that everybody is still challenged with the deficit of the pandemic, and cash is really not a strong point these days. So good news is that Oracle can help by offering finance options. For more on this, I've asked Kevin from our Oracle finance team to spend a few minutes outlining what this would look for you and how other Oracle customers are already benefiting from this. So hi, Kevin. Thanks for joining.
Well, thank you, Ingo.
Please, looking forward to your points.
Yeah, thanks. So yeah, you're right. Globally, we were all impacted by the pandemic, and IT decision makers face a tough balancing act today. They're faced with running and maintaining the legacy systems while having a forward-looking IT roadmap. They're focused on the adoption and deployment of the latest technology, all while staying at or below constrained budgets. Clearly, this balancing act will require that IT decision makers understand the impact of diverse options to facilitate the change of the adoption of new hardware, software, and the implementation services, where those specific costs and benefits may occur over different timelines, right? So in addition, they also need to know how to structure the financial aspects of those IT investments to yield the most optimal total cost of ownership over time. The group that I represent within Oracle is here to facilitate your goals for innovation and business improvement through flexible financial solutions. Oracle's customized payment terms offer you the flexibility you need, the choice you want, and the guidance you demand. By packaging a complete IT solution, we can help you prioritize cash flow, maximize your return on investment, accelerate your time to value from all of the Oracle technologies in a simple financial agreement. As part of the promotion that Ingo discussed today for implementing your updates for hardware and software, all at a advantageous discount, my group will also customize an investment solution that minimizes your upfront cost and adjust expense timing to align with the anticipated business benefits, so your total cost of ownership is financially beneficial over time. We could also include needed consulting components in a single, streamlined, and predictable acquisition model, preserving financial liquidity and providing the solution you need on your own schedule. So under the promotion announced, the payment options for your organization will be customized based on your specific IT requirements by extending payment terms for as short as 6 months up to a multi-year solution, so you have clear and transparent views of both the timing of your payments as well as the total cost of ownership. In addition, as noted previously, as you consider the timing of when you wish to acquire the technology, don't underestimate the benefit to defer payments up to 6 months and or stepping up the payments over a period of time to accelerate your adoption while minimizing the duplicity of expenses while aligning the usage of value received of the new solution over time.
Okay. Thanks, Kev. A very good point. I think it's a very good option nowadays. So that Oracle, compared also to many other companies which are much smaller than we are, that we are able to offer this kind of financing plans. So thanks a lot.
Yep, thank you.
Then I want to thank everybody who joined me today. Thanks, Michael, for the technical insights, Brad from JumpMind, Garth for the consulting part, Kevin for finance. Always keep this in mind. It's a really good option Oracle is offering. And of course, Bruna for the comments on SPMS. Okay, then thank you, everybody. And I wish you a nice remaining day or evening.